Welcome to holiness, belysning.
You are not broken. You are
out of balance.
and there is a path home.
This is holiness, belysning,
From the Alaska akulfhednar
ancestral morning light for those
who have been through hell.
and are still standing.
This nonprofit has a sliding scale guidance
At alaskaakulfhednar.org/guidance.
for felonious belly snake.
Begins now.
Every day, someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder disappears, shattering a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them.
God Morgan, and happy Thursday to you. I hope this week is being an adventure that you're learning and growing from, and I hope that all the things that you need to continue your journey will arrive in all good time. As always, today I want to start by thanking all of you who have liked, followed, and subscribed us on whatever platform it happened to be, whether it be, KWWP Nonprofit Radio, whether it be NewRealityTV.com, or any of the other wonderful platforms that broadcast our message on a daily basis. We thank you and can only begin to express my appreciation. Well, today, I want to talk about self-erasure. Being overwhelmed enough to become invisible, disappearing in plain sight. This is a thing that we do quite often as we attempt to move away from certain energies and into others, and we're going to do it throughout the day, so it's not a one and done kind of thing. It's not where we're going to live our life that way, although that there are people who will try to do that. Predominantly, I'm talking about shifting energies so that maybe in one conversation with friends and family we're robust and we're zealous, and in another conversation then we're much more keyed down, moving down towards kind of stepping back. So there's really a difference between this desire to shift our energies in particular interactions versus the idea that we're not worthy or that we're just not good enough. And this really comes back to this idea called self-erasure. And self-erasure is where you begin a mind cycle of saying that you're not good enough. Well, I'm here to say otherwise. For those of us who understand mapping the entirety of existence, whatever that may be, emotional states, physical states, spiritual states, journeys, and all of the connections and paths that we will make throughout our lifetime, we understand that we can only see so much. There's just so much that we can take in. We will take in a lot when we open our eyes and we gaze upon different things from different perspectives, but nonetheless, there's only so much we can see, which is why everyone should rely on other people. As in my case, if I am to see the entirety of existence, I need to use the experiences of others around me for them to be able to then inform me, enlighten me, teach me their perspectives, adding then to my own. So while I may experience a portion of this existence, having these other perspectives allows me to get a much bigger picture, a much larger understanding of what I'm looking at. Super important, because for those of us who are willing to look, we realize that there are many different ways to look at every situation. There's no one size fits all. It's very akin to saying, well, your spiritual journey has to be identical to mine. There can be no differences. You must subscribe to my path. Well, that's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense, because you're a different person. I am always entertained by people who say, well, my spiritual life is over here. My spiritual journey, my path, my rise to guruism was over here. My physical life is here, and there the twain shall meet, right? So I have to go and I have to do this other thing, and I have to be this other person to be able to become spiritual. Well, that's just nonsense, right? They are not different journeys. They are one and the same. So for us to say we're experiencing something spiritual is to say that we're experiencing something emotionally. Well, if we're experiencing something emotionally, we're experiencing something physically. Emotions, I know. But emotions only exist in the physical form. So they don't exist out in the spiritual realm. So we have to embrace our physical form to embrace the emotions that embrace then our spiritual journey. I'm always reminded, I was working with a young person not too long ago, and he reminded me of the same scenario I remember from much more in my youth, where I informed him that you can't receive. So if we go to a building on Sunday mornings and we do our spiritual thing on Sunday mornings, that's not different. That's not saying, oh, well, we're going to drive to this place, we're going to sit in this seat, and then we're going to turn off physical life, we're going to turn on spiritual life, and then the spiritual life will come to us, and then when it's done coming to us, we're going to turn off spiritual life, we're going to turn back on physical life, then we're going to leave, and then that's not how it happens. As we arrive to the spiritual location, or the location that we feel is going to provide for us a spiritual enlightenment, we're arriving with our emotions intact. It is part and parcel of who we are. We are always emotional creatures, just across the board. There is no way to avoid it, right? And for those who think, well, I'm hard and I don't play the emotional game, you do play the emotional game. You just trick yourself into thinking you don't. Okay, and the only person you're fooling is you, because your emotions are a part of your understanding of reality. You cannot separate emotions from reality. You cannot separate emotions from spirituality. They are all one and the same. Okay, so for us to experience any form of spiritual enlightenment, any connection to the ancestors or wherever, we must be willing to recognize that part of that journey is our emotional states. And they change. by the second, millisecond even sometimes. So they're constantly changing. Every experience that comes into our sensory input is altered by our imagination, and it's therefore, as it goes through the thought process that we describe in the book, it's going to connect with our emotional states, our emotions that are buried, our emotions that are within our body, and of course, our interpretation therein, our emotional state. When we talk about growing up, and we've started as a young person, and we've begun this lifetime of growth and understanding, what we're going to receive is chemical compositions into a portion of our brain, which then is going to catalog that emotional, what that chemistry looks like, and then that will then be written to what we're going to call an emotional recipe card. That's part of our existence. That's part of what we're going to do. So you probably remember that when you were a young person, maybe in your teens, certain things incited certain emotions. So we would, the touch of a hand. Everyone remember, think back when we were young, when the first time a love touched our hand, right? What did you feel? Warm and fuzzy, and maybe it was, there was a known value that you could put your finger on, right? The same thing. This is an emotional piece of our existence, and it is what makes us human. But it is also that same mental state of mind created by that emotional state that allows us to interpret spirituality, the other side of our existence. Now, probably something that many people don't recognize is there's no one thing out there. Okay, there's no necessity to frame one thing and say that is spirituality. That in of itself, in its entirety, is our spiritual journey. That is incorrect. Okay, our spiritual journey is our physical life. It is the entirety of our physical life. So yes, to answer the question that I get asked from time to time, and most often than not, it's done as a joke. But yes, taking out the trash is a spiritual experience. I know, it's kind of weird, but my canine this morning is being very, very demanding. Must have had a bad dream. So, when we think about emotions and we think about spirituality, we need to kind of connect those two and not separate them. Not think of them as two different worlds. They're one and the same. When we talk about self-erasure, we're denying part of our existence. We're denying that part at which we can see, we can provide, we can be a part of other people's path. Now, how do we become part of someone else's path? Well, that's a great question, because all of us are going to interact with people all the time. Well, most of the time anyway. And as we're interacting with other people, as our threads are crossing in our existence, many times those will leave an imprint one way or another, or both ways. Many times it's both ways. We may choose to not see it. We may choose to not recognize it. There may be no emotional high that draws our attention to it. But nonetheless, we are being altered by all of those people with whom we interact with. We have no choice. Why? Because as we can remember from last year sometime, we were talking about the aura, and how the aura is this emotional field. Well, it's a field that is generated around our spiritual selves. That aura, very akin, by the way, for those of you who need physical practicalities, the aura is very much akin to an electrical magnetic force field that whenever you have electricity and it's moving through a line, you have a field around it. And that field is where there's some transient electricity coming off of it. Well, the same thing occurs with your spiritual self. And it has a very similar field, and that field is referred to as your aura. Your aura has two parts to it. It has the internal side with you that's kind of surrounding you. And that really identifies what we're thinking and how our brain is chewing things up, right? So if we're chewing up a lot of things and we've got a lot of processes going on, as we mentioned the other day when we were talking about the well of the self, and we're really churning up that water, well, our aura is going to be cloudy. It's going to kind of mist. And then the more, of course, we're processing, the more we're stressing and thinking and rushing, the more cloudy it's going to get, making it more and more difficult to then broadcast through it. At the end, at the border, is the border, amazingly enough. And that border is attached to our emotional state. So it has a frequency. So it's either really slow, nice, slow, even waves, like a swell of the ocean, right? Some nice, easy swells. Or it's choppy. It's really up and down, right? And so it's really going. We find that when we're really high frequency, the only people with whom is going to be able to get close to us at that time are people with identical fields, with identical borders. So, because it's easier for high frequency to match high frequency. It's very difficult for high frequency to match low frequency, and conversely. So, when we talk about meeting people and we say, oh, like minds think alike. Have you ever heard that? Well, it's not really like minds as much as it is like borders. Many times, many of us will associate emotional states with our mind, with, oh, this is what we're thinking. This is, we feel because we think about it. And there's gray areas there. But nonetheless, it's the border of the aura that's set at a particular frequency that either will deny or allow people to actually intermingle. Now, when we find the one who steals our heart and generates our future, this is when the auras are in very close, if not identical, frequencies. And so their aura actually crosses the border of your aura and actually touches you, your physical self. This is where we will begin to see, for those of you who remember it, the sweaty palms, right? The uncomfortableness, maybe the breathing difficulties, the heart rate, all of those things that first love. Why did that happen? Well, it's because that aura came all the way through your border and actually touched you. And touched your physical self, included you. So it's very akin to if you were to find, and I would do this in a very controlled environment, by the way, make sure that you have people who can show you exactly how to do it. But if you ever get near a very high voltage wire, and you only have to be a couple of feet away, or you can watch, there's videos out there, I'm sure. But there's EMF that comes off the wire, and it kind of permeates, so it kind of goes like that. And if you put your hand in that field, you will feel something. You'll feel that energy. You'll feel the electricity. Now, being very careful, because you can create an arc and then you've got all kinds of problems that you didn't want, right? But you could feel an EMF, or an electromagnetic field. In much the same way, love is simply or I shouldn't say love, I should say love at first sight. Because there's more to it, right? Our auras don't always stay the same. Our frequencies are constantly changing on the border. Our cloudiness is changing on the inside as we think about more stuff, as we're thinking and working through our lifetime. So thinking about all of these things, about controlling the energies that we're emitting and that we're allowing the receipt therein. So both of these pieces are playing a fairly large part in our society, in our social structure, particularly around us when we're talking about friends and loves and really good friends and all the degrees of friendship, whether it leading all the way from finding our soulmate all the way back to our arch nemesis or our arch enemy. Everything in between is simply a matter of those borders meeting, and how that interaction goes is what permits those people from closing in and actually touching our physical form. All right, so before we get too much further ahead, I want to take a moment and I want to call upon Þórr today and call upon him to give us wisdom and guidance, understanding our path, a clear delineation of what that path might be. And so in today's rune, Hagalas. Hagalas, of course, is the chaos of rune. Rune of chaos. Got that backwards. It is the rune of chaos. But it is very different than what you might think of as the rune of chaos. For it establishes an order within that chaos, boundaries of social order and social good. It speaks about changes in our lives and changes that are brought to us by the many different connections that we will have in our lives. Changes for the good, for the long-term good. So it speaks about finding order in the chaos. And that is what life is about, is finding order, finding patterns within this existence that helps us to move forward in such a way that we become comfortable with who we are and what we are. All right, I'm getting the nod here, so I need to take a real quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk about putting today's Self-Erasure on, put that rubber on the road and see where it goes. We'll be right back.
Wear your signal. Australian t-shirts, prints, designs that travel well. On studio to street. Find your fit. Saying the week in this description.
It's happening.
It's in the air. The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me. It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
NewRealityTV.com. Brew a calmer day. Mountain Rose Herbs brings organic teas and botanicals that you can feel good about. Explore the blends. Find the link in the description below.
These words are stirring something heavy in you. You don't have to carry it alone. Sliding Scale Spiritual Guidance with sessions outside normal business hours is available through the Alaska akulfhednar. Visit akulfhednar.org/guidance to book a free discovery session.
All right, welcome back, and thank you for taking that quick break with us. I also want to say today's show is brought to you by Two Pages Curtains. Check them out for those, particularly those here in Alaska, as the summer begins to arrive. Days are getting longer. Of course, wonderful group of curtains and shades that can help keep the room dark for those of you who may live in the warm temperatures. Help keep the house a little cooler. So do check them out, as well as all of our other wonderful affiliates at our website, akumedia.akoutlaw.com/sponsors. And in addition, we've spoken a lot about the rewriting your emotional recipes, and we've spoken about what that means and what that looks like. For those of you who might be interested in the book, it is an ebook. It's about $16.99. You can get it on kobo.com. For links and all the directions to the book, you can actually find that on my webpage, author.akoutlaw.com. And there you can find a link to get you to Kobo. Again, it's $16.99, and it contains the lessons and the understandings that I was given through a vision, as well as at the end, it has workbooks as to how to look at each of these pieces in our own lives to kind of maybe find some of those things that we're tripping on mentally or emotionally along our journey. So hopefully the book will provide for you some guidance and some just some benefit to help you find a better mental space. Today we're talking about self-erasure, and we're talking about moving energy and how to make sure that we're being who we are and never forgetting who we are at our core. Many times we get swept up in trying to appease some community, some society, some group in our lives, and it's totally understandable because human beings, as a general rule of thumb, we are social creatures, and we appreciate a social order. Even if we say we don't, even if we say we're all into anarchy and whatnot, we do appreciate a social order. It's a rudimentary, but nonetheless it's there. So just know in your heart that is indeed the case. So it's understandable that you're drawn to these communities, these societies, these groups, and recognize, however, what the value is that they're providing you and what value you're providing them. Remember, no one is small in the way that one is more important than the other. Okay, we're all alike. We all provide a very different perspective, a different view, a different way of looking at things. Because at our most fundamental core, those things that help us to make decisions and to help us make feelings, the DNA, the structure, the environmental structure that's been created, those recipes that have been written throughout time, those are all different and they're all unique for each individual that's been ever lived, right? So our goal is to recognize and to appreciate that difference, that independence, that different perspective of looking at things within our existence. So there's never a reason that one person's perspective should be more powerful than another's. And particularly, no one else should have more of a power to make decisions for you than you. You are the master of your ship. You are the one who is driving this thing. And even if you're not meeting someone else's bar and you feel that, well, because I'm not even that good, you're not designed to be that good. You're not designed to be that way. Doesn't mean it's better or worse. It means you're not designed to be that way. You're designed to be you. All of the things that have come into your life, all the energies that have affected your DNA, your chemistry, everything about you is unique and different in this case is good, right? So don't let anyone convince you that, well, I'm not meeting you're not meeting my bar, so you're not good enough. Well, you are good enough. You're just different, and they're not recognizing the differences. And that's their loss, not yours. Right? So just remember that. You are certainly worthy of everything that comes to you. Okay? And I know sometimes we say, well, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens. Those bad things, as you call them, could be indeed learning opportunities. And what I mean by that, which drives me crazy sometimes when my parents used to tell me that, but learning opportunities really means that better ways to understand ourselves. Not to learn their way, but to learn how that way affects us and our journey. All right? So remember, you're perfect the way you are. Your DNA, the environment, everything, your chemistry, everything about you has been created in such a way that allows you to have a perspective of life, of experiences that other people will never have. And when you decide that those are important, and you then turn to others and you help them to see your perspective, it may help them find their own perspective. But it doesn't mean it's right, more wrong, more nothing. All it means is that it's just different. Right? So remember that. It's just different. It's a different way to look at it. Doesn't mean they have to all of a sudden align perfectly with you. They're not going to. They can't. Their DNA is different. Their chemistry is different. So remember that. And be kind, because they're learning too. No one's a perfect human. It's always changing. There's never the same moment twice. So just be kind. All right? Well, I hope you enjoy Þórr today, and you embrace him for law, for the justice, for the equality that he brought to our understanding, and certainly the courage that he had to put his hand in the mouth of Þórr. Boy, today is just not doing too well today. But anyway, so courage is what it took to do that. So be courageous enough to be yourself, to embrace the beauty that you are, because you truly are a gift. You're a gift to this existence. You're a gift, certainly to me, and I appreciate it. Thank you. And you're a gift to your community as well. So don't let anyone sell you short. Don't let anyone tell you differently. All right? My friends, I wish you the very best Þór's Day, and we will see you again tomorrow, where we will embrace the power, the energy, and the wisdom of Olithin. Love and light, my friends.
Fulfilling us. Una. Hjälp oss med. Magnify. Tu för og. Kaliot.
If what we've touched today hits something raw for you, you don't have to carry it alone. We offer a sliding scale spiritual guidance with sessions outside normal business hours. Visit akulfhednar.org/guidance to book a free discovery session.